luck with in-house plants.
I'm just wondering if it's going to be the
Trying to,
23rd when we usually have
Take all
our.
the invasive species.
That should
almost
be on
in my
the-
yard,
should be on the
it's
website,
already
yeah,
down.
right?
Hannah, do you know when the next town meeting is? Is it April 23rd? That's our next.
I can look it up.
I don't want to be scheduling something for the meeting on the
Yeah.
23rd if we're going to be at town meeting. But we can figure that out, I guess. Okay.
Seth LaJoy. Wow. I haven't seen from Seth in a long time.
It's quite crowded.
May 2025?
Okay, we're good to go? Okay. All right, welcome everyone who is in the room and attending online. There seems to be no one, so that's good. Or, well, maybe not, but we will open the meeting for the Conservation Commission for March 26th at the Municipal Center. We do have one member absent. They are not participating by Zoom, so votes tonight can be just, don't have to be roll call, speed up things. And we'll open the meeting with the first item on, which is a new meeting, RDA, for project location 550 Rentham Road, replacement of the septic system within the 100-foot buffer zone to BVW at 550 Rentham Road. Kelly Calwhite, perhaps, is the applicant, and Seth LaJoy and Associates are the representatives. Come right up to the front, please.
Good evening, Seth LaJoy, representing Kelly Colway. And this is 550 Rentham Road. This is a system that was done about 2 years ago. It subsequently failed in 2 years. And so
Yikes.
now we're back in front of you guys, looking for an RDA because we need to do some work within the buffer zone of this BVW that's in the back, right here. This is our 50-foot line, this is our 100-foot line right here. The existing current failing system is right in this location in the back of the property. We have an existing 1,500-gallon two-compartment septic tank here. We're looking to put in another 1,000-gallon pump chamber. And then we're gonna have a line that's gonna be coming up. The reason why it's showing a little funky here is because this is all retaining wall and patio and stuff like that, and so we're gonna have to sneak it up and around and then up and go out to the front, which is outside of the buffer zone. One of the things that your agent asked me to do was put the zone AE flood zone elevation on, which is right here, elevation 203. We're way outside of that. It's off property. Do you have any questions, comments? Anything disparaging you'd like to say about Seth LaJoy? Anything at all? No?
Opening yourself right up there.
What was the driver?
Get us started.
Keep it strictly professional.
Good, Steve?
When you say the system failed, I assume you mean the leach field.
The leach field is.
And what was the driver to that in such a short window?
It appears that that it's in hydraulic failure, possibly due to the water table encroaching on the leach field itself.
That was gonna be my
What
question.
it seems like. It seems like it was, you've got this wetland here, and it's deep in the ground here. Everything is flowing in that direction.
Do you have enough cover for where the septic tank is going then?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's enough cover,
Okay.
definitely. The tank is in the ground. It was, part of the thing was, I believe what they were trying to do was they were trying to get it to go gravity feed. And,
Where was the previous septic field?
I believe it was in the back as well.
So proximate location existing whatever
Well,
that says.
that's the current, the one that was installed 2 years ago.
Right, that failed.
Is in that location.
So that is the one that there you
Yeah.
failed. So you think the groundwater is fairly high there?
Yeah.
And you're gonna be force maining it up through, what size is the pipe that you're force maining it up through?
It's gonna be a 2-inch line.
Okay.
Yep.
And given that the elevation rises to 220 in the front or 219 in the front of the property down to about 210 in the back, or I'm sorry, 211 where the septic tank is, you're going to be not needing, because it's a force main, to worry about pitch or anything, obviously, because you're gonna be pumping it
Well,
uphill.
I mean, we're gonna be, it'll obviously be pitched back to the pump chamber. We do have a 1/4-inch weep hole inside of that pump chamber, so that it'll drain back in there, so that there won't be any risk of freezing in the winter months, heading up there. I mean, it's a fairly, I mean, this is about as cut and dry as you can get for a
How
pump
deep will
system.
that force main be? going up through the hillside, past the house and so forth?
I would say it depends. It's gonna be at least 2 feet down.
it says
It's
it-
probably, it depends on how deep they have to go in terms of getting underneath the patios and stuff that are there.
And you were looking for an exempt variance, can we scroll to the far right, I think, on the plan there, Hannah? I thought I saw something about 3-foot clearance versus 4,
Yes, that's correct. That's a Board of Health variance.
so it's a little further up.
Yeah, we're requesting a 3-foot
Yeah,
groundwater
right.
separation as opposed to the normal 4-foot groundwater
Right.
separation, which is allowed under the contents of local upgrade approval in Title V. We're doing that for the purposes of not destroying the continuity of the property. If we bring it up another foot, you're gonna have a mounted system there. That mounted system is gonna be smack in the middle of this property, which is already relative, I mean, that's a foundation wall, it's basically, it's almost like the house is a walkout foundation in the back. So, I mean, it works better with the existing contours that are out there. We are well within the legalities of Title V. It's written directly into the contents of local upgrade approval, and it's well outside the 100-foot
So
jurisdiction.
what
of
is
buffer
the
zone.
bottom of the new leach field in relationship to the bottom of the old one? If
That's gonna
if
be
the
like,
water
it's
table.
gonna be like 10 feet higher.
Okay.
Because you're going that far uphill.
Yeah.
And so you're going to install the new pump chamber and the pipe, and you're gonna just abandon the failing field in
Yeah,
place?
it's just gonna stay right
Just
there.
cut it off and,
I'm not gonna.
no, but I mean,
No, absolutely.
You're not full service.
I don't wanna be, man.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Okay. Additional
so
questions?
minimal disturbance in the back, star wattles.
Yeah.
Is that all lawn in the back there?
Yep,
To the, at least the shed? Yeah, okay.
it's all currently maintained as lawn,
Did Board of Health approve?
yes.
Got that? Okay.
Of course, they approved the last one.
Oh,
The current failure, is it constant? Is it, or is it,
it's.
Cycle.
It's seasonal with the fluctuation of water.
Okay. Any other questions, observations, points?
No, this is pretty simple.
Pretty straightforward.
Yep.
We'll show a negative with conditions on siltation.
The usual
Except
conditions
the
for
usual siltation control
siltation
and all
protection
that.
measures, okay? So
Are
we
you,
have,
are you gonna have to expose the existing tank?
Absolutely.
Can we move the straw wattles a little past the shed too, just to encompass that? Because right now it's just a little, it's not encompassing the whole limit of work.
oh, you meaning,
Oh, I see what
To the
you're
left.
Just a little bit more to the left, yeah.
yeah, so that's a good point. So if you could modify that to say the straw wattles will go around behind
Just
the
like
shed and
another-
curve slightly up towards the house to capture, because there is a down gradient in that
If anything
direction.
wants to go.
And you are gonna be working off to the side of the shed more.
Just
Yeah.
like another
Yeah.
50 feet or something.
I
Just,
see what you're saying, yeah, about another 25 foot,
yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
So with that modification added to the order of conditions and the usual siltation protective measures, which are, if they're not already in place, as part of the general notes would be added. Any other observations or, okay. So we have a motion from Neil to make that a negative determination for applicability and positive, well, not positive, but and with the mentioned orders of conditions.
I'll second it.
Second, thank you, Don. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, unanimous vote, very good, thank you, Seth.
Thank you for your time this evening.
You're welcome. And Hannah will get back to you with the paperwork whenever.
Very good, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving right along. We have a continued hearing for a notice of intent for 123 Mendon Street, commercial redevelopment within the riverfront and 100-foot buffer zone to BVW. DNC Pavone Enterprises and is the applicant, and Bill Helsing is the land planning representative. They have requested, the applicant has requested a continuation to April 9th
It's actually to the 23rd.
And now
They
just
amended it.
modified slightly to the 23rd from the, okay, so it's 23rd.
And we verified that that won't, have we verified that that won't conflict with?
Yeah, the
Spring
date online was May 28th for the
Oh, May,
next.
it's not till May, okay, that's fine. I knew it was coming up in the spring, I just didn't want to jump into it. May 28th is, oh, yeah. I actually just saw that. Okay, I didn't look at the right one. Thank you, I'm done. Okay, so we can accept a motion to, I will accept a motion to move this, continue this hearing to the evening of April, get the right month here, 23rd at 7 PM.
Do we have any, we know why?
It's just because of the planning, the planning board, their,
Still stuck with planning?
yeah,
Looked
their
pretty clear when we did
peer
our site
review
walk with
took a long time to get started.
whoever I was walking with. Steve, were you there? We walked that site? One on
That
Hartford.
was months ago.
Yeah, it was,
Long
yeah,
time, yeah,
it's
it's
pretty
been-
straightforward.
it's
I mean,
been-
as far as the Concom was, I think.
Surprised, I'm surprised they're,
Yeah, I'm
It
not-
it was kind of like their reps administrative stuff has been kind of,
so they're moving on it, but it's just
Yep.
slower. Than
that was a very cut and dry project.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Yeah, so any additional comments, questions? So I'll accept a motion to move it to.
So moved.
Thank you, Neil. Second, anybody?
Second.
Second, James, thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, unanimous vote, thank you. So I'll continue. Now we have a notice intent, continued hearing for off Lake Street, Prospect Hill Village, construction of a 156-unit townhouse development which will impact boarding, vegetated wetland, bank, land underwater bodies, and waterways, bordering land subject to flooding and riverfront areas. Louis Petrosi Wall Street Development is the applicant, and the representative is Paul McManus from Ecotech. This applicant has also requested continuation tonight. I hope that those that are in the room aren't here for that, because I'm sorry to disappoint you, but that is going to be the case. They have requested continuation to April 9th to give, well,
more time for peer review.
more time for peer review, basically, and/or Conservation Commission members who wish to review the materials that have been provided. So we'll honor that request as we need to do so and continue the hearing. I'll accept a motion to continue that hearing to the evening of April 9th at
So
7
moved.
PM. Thank you, Ariane. Second, anybody?
Seconded.
Second, Don, thank you. Any other discussion? None? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, yeah, so for that, flying right along here.
Crazy.
We have an enforcement order discussion for 365 Hartford Avenue, restoration plan review. Michael Carrier is the applicant, and Keith Buchanan from Alliance Environmental Group are the representatives. And we've gotten some material, including some very last-minute information added to the portal, which I don't know if the members have had a chance to see. If not, then perhaps we should discuss whether they have seen that, not enough to comment. We talked about the letter. you
The
sent
letter,
this
yeah, and I
afternoon.
think that's kind of more points for discussion,
Right.
so that might be appropriate to discuss.
So first off, is anyone here, either Mr. Carrier or Buchanan? Come on right up, gentlemen. If you just identify yourselves for the record, that'd be great, thank you. We know you've been here before, but just for the record, thank you.
Michael Carrier, pastor of the church.
Thank you.
Keith Buchanan, Alliance Environmental.
And Matt Nicholson, deacon and trustee, Bellingham Bible Baptist Church.
Thank you. Welcome. So we've discussed what had been done on the site, so we don't need to rehash, I think, all that. I think unless the commission members have had something come up in their observations or looking at information that they'd like to bring up again. And I think that we had left it that we were going to try to come up with a equitable restoration plan to move forward. Some of that information was shared at the last meeting as far as thoughts, as far as plantings and cover and so forth, and then a method of making sure that the area does, once it's been restored, not get parked on again by people who drive over even small saplings that were planted for something. So signage, I think, was indicated, and perhaps some post or something like that, indicating clearly that this area is not a parking area. Up at the edge of up to the edge of the pavement is fine, but beyond that is not to be parked on. And I understand that you've gotten some information very recently about pricing and so forth. We've seen your letter.
Yes.
Those that haven't had a chance to, let me ask the commission members for a second, just to give, you all had a chance to see the letter?
No.
The letter, yes.
Okay, well, I'll give Neil a chance to read it. It's a very short letter, so if you want to just glance through it, I think it'd be for Ariane, have you seen it, Neil? Don, okay. I've read it myself, so just this afternoon, so just give us a second to catch up to speed and make sure everybody's up to it.
Have you presented the pricing
Presented to,
to us?
Provided it yet? I don't know
Just what's in that letter, that was it. And we're still waiting to hear back from a few other contractors on some additional competitive pricing.
Right. Right, I think our intent is to make sure that we have a plan moving forward that will work, number one, for the site. No sense in doing stuff, spending any amount of effort or money to restore a site not properly and adequately so that it does restore. And then the second thing is to see how we can do that. And I understand that there are certainly limitations. It's not cheap work to do, and there may be some alternatives, options that, as you get that information from other competitive vendors, obviously price is a consideration, but the methodology certainly, not going to want to make the situation worse by doing something that wouldn't be okay. Any other observations or comments you'd like to make in general?
just, in general, and the reason why the discussions kind of opened up a little bit was, getting some of the pricing back in the small church that we are. The by hand portion was pretty daunting, for us, me as a pastor and my trustees, we don't have that kind of money to be able to have it removed for that price by hand. I know that was discussed at the last meeting, that I guess was the, if we could have excavation company come in with proper equipment to assist in some of the removal. So that's a question, or I guess a topic to discuss, if that's possible. And different things like that. It's just the pricing really is kind of what has got us in this position where it would put us in a very tough spot as a small church. And with the parking situation as it is, we had an issue recently where it's gotten too much, and we actually lost a family because there was limited parking, and sometimes people are sensitive in churches, and we have to, we try to accommodate our church families, but it just got too much for them, because we have adjusted. We have two attendants out there now, making sure people are coming in, not going on the wood chips as was requested, and things like that. So there have been some issues that I've had to deal with within the church for it as well. So hence why I put the letter together and am looking to see what middle ground can we come to right now and going forward with the situation.
Open it up to the commission members. Any questions you'd like to ask? Options?
When you say middle ground, are you advocating to continue to park in that area?
From what was there before, being able to utilize some of that space to,
So yes.
yeah.
Oh, I thought it was just methodology and removing and restoring, that you were trying to find a way to afford to be able to do that, and finding a way that would be acceptable to the commission, to not have like big machines coming in and scraping and dragging and causing more problems.
We're open to anything.
Right, but
Yeah.
if, I want to be clear, because what Steve is talking about is long-term usage. I'm just asking whether your attempt to find a middle ground is to find a way to restore the area, with the intent being that the area would not be parked on in the future going forward, because you're doing, for one thing, one of the parts of the plan was to do plantings across the strip of it, as was illustrated by those little colored full dots in the last illustration. So just to be clear, you're not proposing, or are you proposing, as Steve has asked, that you want to find a middle ground where you can continue to park in that area on that mulch? Because that's, I don't think, what I was hearing from your initial comments or
So, Restoration is the initial, goal that is it needs to be discussed. I would like to be able to discuss, because it's going to be an issue in the future, once it's restored, if there's anything that we can do. We don't have the ability to put people in that small segment. We don't have the ability to grow. And, I mean, for a church, we've done, pretty consistently over the last 170-something years, to keep the church going, which is by the grace of God. And as a pastor, I always have a vision to grow, and obviously the parking there is limited. I don't know what previous pastors have done before me, but now that it's being discussed, I think I would like to actually have that discussion. If, when we restore, what's the possibility that we're able to do anything beyond that, to be able to grow our church?
So I have a question. On your most full day, is that parking lot completely full? Okay. So you wouldn't be open to like maybe making some side parking areas along there instead that would keep the parking lot the same size? Because that might be a little less space, but it would provide like actual parking spots for vehicles to go,
I don't know, what do you mean by side parking?
like parallel parking instead.
Instead of nose in, parallel?
Oh,
I don't-
they jam the cars in there. You can't get another car in
How
there.
many cars are at the maximum in that lot? Just to give us a sense, 10, 15, 20?
I like the math.
Yeah, I mean, if really, really tight, we could probably get about 15 to 18 cars, really, really tight. That's,
And when you were talking about middle ground and or growing the congregation and or parking needs, what do you anticipate that range to change to?
The capacity of our building is, in our sanctuary, is 90. And as coming in 2 years ago, and discussing with the church, what the vision is to, try and grow our congregation to at least meet, or be close to capacity. I mean, I don't,
Not knowing how many people are in each car, we're at least you potentially then thinking about doubling the potential parking to get towards 90, and if not at it. Okay. Do you own any of the, the perimeter of the property line behind the church, directly behind the church from Hartford? Do you own anything that's beyond that way, away from the Charles River area, resource area?
we do.
As far as
but,
depth behind the building?
a large portion of our property, we have 1.25 acres. and a
Right,
large
is
portion
wetlands, right, yeah.
Wetlands.
I can see that, but there's a light green area that's directly behind it. I'm just not sure how many square feet it is, and how developable and so forth, if it isn't even permittable, because it may be also
We
too
have
close to the
septic.
wetlands.
There's septic leak,
That's
there's
it,
leach
okay.
field, so.
Topographically too, there's a hillside going down.
Right, and without all that into account, I just want to make sure that I throw that out as a suggestion. I mean,
Because there was a thought of being able to come through and then go around and come out, that would allow more, but the problem is there's the leach fields right there. And when you get to the top of the hill, that's where the leach field is, so that's just not.
So in between the house, you were talking about going around behind your
Going
house,
around behind
and
the
the
parsonage,
parsonage,
yeah,
and then up and out,
then going
out in
or
between the
vice
parsonage and
versa,
the
yeah.
church.
I think unfortunately, given what we're looking at on the left side of the property there with the resource area and so forth, we don't have a lot of, you don't, and we don't have a lot of land or space to work with. And the physical limitations of the site unfortunately may be prohibitive for expanding parking, period. It just, without permanently impinging in a negative way on a resource area, which I don't know that the commission or the conservation or the DEP would approve. Charles River is a valuable resource area, and this is right on top of it. So it's just, I think, an unfortunate fact that that area is just so small when your needs are potentially greater than that. I'll throw out one other thing, not that I have any say on this, and it's something you guys would have to. What about neighbors across the street, the church next door, St. Brendan's? Any possibility of using their parking at times when, excuse me,
Mr. O'Haron?
yes, Mr. Martinez.
May I just speak? This is Don Martinez, I'm a select board member, and that's why I'm here.
Sure.
I've already proposed an alternative to parking, and we have an approval from Mr. Frame. And the parking is that we would allow the church to use the North Community Center parking. There's a parking lot there, paved, and then behind the North Community Center, there's an unpaved. It's gravel, it's safe, and there's at least 20 vehicles could park there. And I've already had a conversation with Mr. Frame, he's approved it. He's the only one that has to approve it, because I made sure that I didn't have to go before the Board of Selectmen. So when this was brought to my attention, the first thing I thought of was alternatives to parking. And I know the neighbors, and I don't, St. Brendan's doesn't have the parking across the street. Plus, there's a sidewalk that goes from the community center down. It's safer than trying to walk across
Absolutely.
Hartford Avenue.
Sure, yeah.
So I came up with an alternative for them, so there would be parking. I'm here to say that, but I'm here because I wanted to see how we could come up with an idea to minimize the restoration, because I've seen some of the initial numbers, and I thought we could come up with a happy medium of restoration, providing that they don't park on the wood chips, because I've gone down there and I've explored the site, and I know exactly what you're saying, and I know there are restrictions, conservation area restrictions that can be paid, but there is an alternative if they want to take us up on that offer. Again, it's for as long as they need, as long as we still own that building, as long as the town still owns that parking lot, there's no issue. And we've already notified the police chief, so if anybody calls to complain, the dispatchers know that the parking is permitted. Okay?
Gentlemen, have you heard of this proposal, or do you
We
hear
had
of
a
it?
conversation about it.
Okay.
Just a little bit, but I got a little bit more from Dennis.
Sure, thanks.
That's why I'm here.
Thank you, Don, that's helpful.
Donnie, is north where the Boy Scout troop is?
Yep,
Okay.
yep, so it's that parking lot is paved, and then behind there's an unpaved lot that's Bellingham town property. And there's probably a good 20 cars that fit in that back parking lot.
Yeah, that's where we used to park.
Yeah,
for-
It's
Conservation
the old
Commission
fire
used,
station.
We used to meet, we
in
met
that
there for,
building.
we met there for many years, and we parked in that back lot.
It's
In
not
my
used on
opinion-
Sundays or Saturdays, the Boy Scouts don't typically use it as much as they used to.
Right.
They used to do their ball
Oh,
and
it's
hand
south
drives
of this.
there.
right.
Oh, all right.
Ariane, go
I
ahead.
don't know, we have to make arrangements, I was just asking.
Yeah, it's the
plowing.
old fire.
West-
So,
Yeah.
in my opinion, I think I would be okay with an excavator getting in there as long as there was an environmental or wetlands professional to oversee the excavation activity, and direct it as needed. I don't,
Yeah, I
that's my
think-
opinion, but
I think we need to get there restored, that's a very high priority, it's so close to resource area, it's been damaged and inadvertently, people apparently didn't know any better. And yet we do need to restore it to an area that will be environmentally maintained by itself. We don't have to constantly go in and fixing things. So wood chips staying in that area and not having plantings done and so forth, I think are gonna be an issue. But if the parking area is not going to need to be parked upon, I mean, that area is not going to be parked upon because this alternative seems to be feasible to you, that helps a huge deal for that. I'm open to suggestions as to methodology for removing in whatever way economically will work for you that can get the job done. I mean, whether it's volunteers to help from the church and the community to come in and pitch in because you're just scraping up mulch and so forth is not particularly dangerous. I won't speak for liability and that so forth. I got volunteer people, but that kind of effort, anything that would help work, and I think the commission members may be amenable.
I agree with Ariane, I'm
Yeah.
more, I'm amenable
Amenable
to
if you have a machine come in to-
you know,
a machine comes in
obviously
and that saves
properly
you money,
used.
so be
Get
it.
a
But
Smaller, something with a low ground pressure.
Sure,
Green
some-
bucket to not disturb native soils and root matter, and, once we see native soils, we won't, that'll be handwork.
Right, certainly easier than raking to have a machine scoop it up and maybe more effective if it's done carefully as Ariane suggested under supervision, so not just randomly digging as a contractor who may not know what they're doing to. But yeah, I think if you have those options to work with and you have contractors you still need to talk to and methodology and you have your budget figures in mind and what you can afford to do and you want to come back to us, I think that would be a plan moving forward to start the process.
My preference would be a grade all over an excavator. Grade all's wheeled. It's what you see reaching over guardrails.
And they can do very fine scraping too.
Yes.
I've spoken with an excavation company who said they wouldn't go down to the bottom layer. They would go as far as that they can with a machine to be safe, and then remove the rest by hand.
I mean, that sounds reasonable. It sounds like that's,
What about on the plantings, what about maybe a phased, not all at once, but maybe a phased planting over the next
Yeah, I don't know what-
year and a half, you know?
have you
with-
got any
with-
estimates for what the cost of the plantings would be? Where there's more effective, sometimes more effective to do it all at once and get it done than have contractor come back twice. But that's a suggestion too, perhaps over a period of time.
Yeah.
They're knowing some stuff will go initially, maybe ground cover and some plantings, and then maybe some additional seedlings and plantings or trees, whatever, the next year, to both budget-wise and allow for a
Maybe
chance for
some,
something
start
to
with some
take.
smaller trees that might be less expensive and work, you know, and
Well,
maybe
I would
kind of phase that in a
start
little
with
bit.
Grass to.
Well, that's already in there.
stabilize.
Well, that's,
We're looking at
yeah, we
doing
have
a
to have
wetland
grass.
seed mix over there, and we could
Yeah.
do the primary plantings along the bank of the river to secure that soil initially, then do the larger plantings later on when they become available as well.
Right.
Now, to get an estimate is a little more challenging, there's nothing on the market.
Right, yeah. So we might be able to work something in where there's more of a phased approach to give your finances more of a flat plane than a steep.
Yeah, you know, until we get on the plantings, until I have a solid number, I mean, we've talked potential cost, but we can't, you know, I can't settle on, I can't bring something to my trustees until we have something that's more solid.
But I think removal and
firm,
then
so-
stabilization with the seed mix to you know, stabilize it, revegetate it. And that would be terrible for parking anyway, because you know, as soon as it's soft,
Soft soil.
anybody gets stuck in there anyway, so.
We really don't want that. That's why I was urging
Yeah.
signage of some sort.
Yeah.
For, you know, the person that didn't get the word that happens to drive in on a rainy night or whatever, and whether they get stuck or just make a mess, and ruin a lot of good work and money spent. So, yeah, I think it's everyone's best interest to make sure that that's somehow indicated with some
Between
signage.
demarcation, and we can put a memo out to the congregation and say.
Right. Well, a signpost or two wouldn't cost very much. We have no stirrup signs, you know, stickers or some other kind of signage.
No
to indicate
parking.
No parking, clearly. A no parking sign is usually pretty clear to people. So, yeah, something like that, but getting the things in place first and on a phased basis, I'm open to that.
Mr. Chair, are you okay losing that parking if you get more at the old fire station?
Yeah. if
Does
we-
that solve your
if-
problem?
If we get the parking that we have discussed, that's great, yes. And if we restore, so the question I had was restoration. We're restoring it to the original state before things were cut.
That's the goal, whether it'll eventually get there after some time, because
Yeah,
nature
yeah.
has to take its course. Yes, the goal is to restore. That's
So
why
that-
we use the rest.
What I'm talking, you know, the strip that, you know, I think it was like 3 feet, and you can kind of see when you go out there, the chips go like this, and then there's a divot there, and then you can see where it goes off. So where that divot is where it originally fell off. So is there grass gonna go back in there? Is that what
Yes.
that was, right?
Correct.
And then when you
That's it,
wrap
any
around.
degradation of the soil for channeling, so you need some kind of root structure there, if the grass is there.
Okay. And then,
Was that ditch going around the parking lot for drainage though at all?
Yeah.
That's like the gravel going around the perimeter of the parking lot, was that for drainage coming off at all? So when we take the chips off, there's going to be that existing, because we didn't take any of that gravel, there's going to be an existing gravel strip that was always there.
At the edge of the pavement, between that and the bank,
And
okay.
yes, exactly. And then on the back, when you go around the corner, in the back, there was a much larger gravel pad there that we didn't touch.
Right,
which
had you
is
just have a
covered.
dumpster on it or
it's-
something?
that's what
Yeah,
the
so-
dumpster used to
right.
be.
So we would be able
If that's
to
previous disturbance is not what we're addressing.
That stone there, we don't have to put grass
No,
over
we're not
that.
addressing the previous
I don't think we're
disturbance.
looking to do that now.
It's the bark mulch.
If the gravel that is exposed, when the mulch is removed, doesn't permit grass to grow on it, we don't want to have a strip of exposed gravel, if possible, I think, just sitting there with then the potential for it to back from the bank towards the gravel and fill in that area and sedimentize it and so forth. I think we would want to see some sort of grass restoration, basically from the edge of the the edge of the pavement to wherever the top of the bank is / determination is to stop planting seeds because they're gonna wash over. But I think that whole strip from the edge of the pavement, once it's exposed by the bark mulch all being removed, back towards there is gonna be what you had intended to restore for grass, seed mix, and then seedlings as we determine need to for it. So, yeah. The gravel may be exposed is what I'm saying, but I think we're looking to have some loam put in there and some grass seed so that it's
No,
grass.
I don't think that's what they were saying.
Well, I'm trying to clarify that
I
because
think the gravel strip
it
in
was covered and
between,
has been.
in between the parking lot and where we're expecting restoration to take place,
It's free.
logistically would make sense.
How wide is that strip? Do you know?
That's the problem.
So-
The space between the parking lot and the stream is such a thin spot that any channel or like if you're doing
Yeah,
like
sheet
really
run off the
small,
parking lot, that's what we're concerned with, so the
Right.
edges sit there.
right, so it'll reduce the velocity of the water coming off the parking lot, which will help reduce either rutting or just any sheet flow and whatever it's carrying, it'll hit that riprap before it hits.
Well, is it riprap or is it gravel? There's a big difference between the two sizes.
Yeah, I mean,
You wouldn't park on riprap necessarily with your car, but you would park on gravel.
Right.
The strip
And my concern is that gravel will look like
It's in
the
front.
asphalt and potentially people will park onto that.
what if we do a
Could we-
berm,
oh, sorry.
lift it up a
I'm
little
open to
bit?
suggestions. I'm not ruling anything out. Just throwing that out there.
Can we expose it and then possibly had come and take a look at it?
It'd be good to
and then
identify it. It
base-
probably is pretty consistent throughout the length of it. You know, I don't doubt they went 3 feet to 8
On
feet
On the
back.
backside, the long strip, when you pull in, you have that long strip, you know, grass was growing through the gravel that was there, that, you know, it was the big portion of gravel is when you came around and wrapped around to the big side where the dumpster used to be, that you weren't getting any growth there.
My only worry, I
So
guess,
it would be something that when it gets exposed, that you'd have to look at.
Right,
and
okay.
Give us that opinion there. The other thing is that I have talked to DPW about is when it rains really hard, the water comes off the street and goes through my front yard, down into the parking lot and right into the wetlands. I don't know how or what, who's responsible for that, how that can get, I don't know.
So it comes down, because that's a new curb in front, it comes down the curb and then cuts into the driveway?
Yeah, and both of our driveways don't have a lip. You know, I see them on the other driveways there, so I don't know, you know, when that took place or anything there.
Isn't that technically MassDOT's road?
Hartford Ave?
Yeah, but something like a lip on a driveway would be easy enough handled by DP. If you drag the state into it,
Never hear from them again?
Yeah.
Well,
let's not do that. I'm sure the
saying more like-
DPW could figure something out about some lips on a driveway.
maybe that wasn't on their plans. and then-
Yes, that whole area from the cemetery, Baldwin and Medway, is part of a large project that's gonna kick off within the next couple of years. We had a meeting about it recently, so the whole street's gonna be widened, sidewalks, curb cuts, a whole bit. That doesn't help you now, but the DPW could put a curb cut in front to channel that water down away from your property. They do that. I mean, that happened on Maple Street with a few of our.
Their property
homes,
right
same
over into
thing.
Charles.
You just have to talk to Jesse if you need to.
It'll run down towards St. Brendan's and then go right over to the north.
Just to clarify.
St. Brendan's? Yeah, St. Brendan's.
When we were talking about restoring to previous, so the gravel was previous.
Yep.
So if we had to remove that gravel and restore it, that would be above and beyond what was there previously.
Right.
Well, that gravel also wasn't permitted either, so.
Well, I don't know how long that.
No, I know,
gravel
I'm
been
just,
there
if
for
we're,
years
if
and
we're
years
getting
and
into the
years. I don't know
semantics
how
of it,
far back that goes.
that's an unauthorized fill also. I agree that something should be there in between the vegetated state and,
I think, and I'm fine with having, as you suggested, and it may be part of getting a better price from contractors, if they can see what they're gonna have, how far they have to dig down for the mulch, if they've actually explored that, and how wide out that gravel strip is, do a couple small digs with a shovel, and you'll probably figure it out pretty quickly, and then contact Hannah, and maybe we can get her to relay to us via what she's able to see, what we're looking at. So that gives you a chance to get better pricing, we're moving forward on this, I think it's all good, I think. And then gives you time to, because we haven't set a deadline to get this done by for you. Certainly not putting pressure on you. We recognize you're being very responsive and trying to do the responsible thing, which is great. We appreciate that. Not everybody is willing to do that sometimes. And so I think that this is moving in a good direction for that. Commission members have other questions or things that they'd like to make sure
Just a question regarding salt use in the winter in the parking lot. How are you managing ice?
The town's, plows our lot and salts.
Oh.
So,
But using salt in the parking lot?
yeah.
Are you 100% sure, or are you just kind of guessing?
What, that the town plows it?
That they salt it?
Oh, I don't know. Have you seen them salting it? Do you see evidence that they've salted
They
it?
turn around and when they well, they plow and then sometimes they'll turn around and they run their salt. I mean, I got a camera back
It's
there.
whatever they're using on the road, they just,
We're-
I have a camera in the lot.
Yeah,
I can
because
show you.
we're not disputing that they're doing that. We're questioning, we're learning that they're doing something that probably is not a great thing to be doing, salting this close to a wetlands resource area, especially since it's going to go downhill and flow into that area. There's no way it's going to go back up into the street.
Sounds like the road's pumping into the,
Yeah, there's salt.
into it as well.
Sure, I'm not saying that there's not additional stuff, but the town is actively doing it, which is news to us. I didn't know that they would be doing that for you.
We're on the list for the town to plow.
Sure. No, that's fine. I'm not saying that they should stop doing it. I just want news to us.
Is
That's
there
all.
alternatives to that? Because if we can't have salt, that parking lot becomes,
Oh, no, we don't want to make it unsafe. I think that there are alternative
Flamethrower.
non-sodium
Sand.
de-icing. Sand is
or
the
gravel.
basic one, but that has issues too because they cause
You're
sedimentation.
not gonna load up a special truck.
And,
No, I wouldn't want them to. And I also don't want someone to slip in the parking
right,
lot.
absolutely. Safety is first and paramount.
That gets traction, not melting.
Yeah,
Well, it also sounds like he has no input
Yeah.
over timing, amount.
Right.
yeah.
And it really
Manner.
doesn't have a whole lot to do with the issue at hand.
No, not with the current restoration area
Correct.
issue. It's just
And the enforcement work.
I didn't bring it up. Yep. Okay.
Stay in our lane.
So you, and I'll just, Danny,
The
go
one I
ahead.
had was if, once we find favorable pricing and we want to move forward, what's our procedures with,
Well, I'll let Han answer that question.
Well, that was gonna be my question to you, because it's the restoration plan, I mean, what we've talked about so far kind of sounds like what you've presented in the plan. So, a kind of timeline for like just checking
Well,
in
I-
about stuff? I
Not
think would be
knowing
the only
how many
thing
contractors you're
here.
talking to, how far along you are with them, what your availability is to be with them, and do some little exploratory on the site, get prices that you're comfortable with. I didn't want to put a timetable on you guys, but if you could suggest one, like you think you need a couple of weeks, a month, something, what do you think?
like, third week of April, we're anticipating on commencing with something,
Okay, so
Is that
you,
in the plan?
yes.
Okay.
okay, so then you would like to come back to us on the April 9th meeting with some sort of, this is what we really want to do, we got things nailed down pretty much, this is what we can afford and so forth to, if you want it in the third week,
Probably
and,
before that, because they said it's
Well,
scheduled
it's
for the
only,
week of April
that's-
7th.
I'm just saying that's the next meeting.
can
I'm not gonna need to be before it. Yeah, good.
We're waiting for a quote, or for another company to come out to quote the whole thing, from
Mhm.
removal to
But they'll do
plantings.
they'll address the loam, they'll
Okay.
plant things, the full thing.
If it has to be a separate thing, I have a quote for the excavation that I'm comfortable with, that is something we can afford. It's kind of at the top part, but we wanted to wait until we got.
I'd rather not pull the mulch off,
Yeah.
have exposed soil,
Yeah.
it's gonna erode, I'll put jute matting down and just extra levels of effort.
No, no,
That
Well,
way with seed- I don't wanna
the
put
mulch
seed
is
mix
better,
in.
the mulch is better at this point because it's at least,
holding it.
nothing's happening.
Correct.
We're not, there's no,
Maybe
we're
do
not,
seed
there's no
mix, it starts
erosion.
germinating, then we go put planters in, we're gonna trample
Yeah.
all over it and have to
Right.
re-resit it again, so. I'd rather have one company come in and, sequence it.
Right, well, you were the one that suggested the third week in April, I didn't, so if you need to push it back beyond that, I think that's something that, especially as we're moving forward with a plan, and
Maybe
if it makes
phone
sense.
calls tomorrow
Yeah,
makes sense.
I think that gives us a sense of timing, that in the next meeting or two, if it looks like you have information to provide in advance notice for the April 9th meeting, we could continue this till then, and, or,
So I think my kind of question is, so do you want them to come back and have a different plan for approval, or is this plan sufficient to be like their approved plan to start working on. I think just based on what the enforcement order was to come today with the restoration plan and then, you know, have it be approved at some
But if we
point by
segment
you
it, do
guys.
you want that broken down?
What do you guys think?
Yes.
I would agree.
Segmented, you mean like different contractors doing
No,
different
you
pieces
won't
of the?
have, like,
Phases.
Phases of plantings, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like I suggested about giving them some time.
Certainly,
to-
if you
some
wanted to
time
plant
to do
everything
the
at once
full
because it made sense to
restoration, given their
economically,
financial
that's
situation.
not an issue with us, because that could be done. But if a phased one makes sense both environmentally and economically for you, we're open to that, it sounds like, too, so.
If it's economically, we can do it all at one shot instead of having to phase it.
For
Right.
me, we also had a burst pipe issue in the church. Insurance covered good portion of it, but until we're finished with that project, we're aiming for, by Easter, to have our base fellowship hall restored. Then I'll know financially where we are also, and if we can do it without having to do it in phases, you know, so that's kind of, we were dealing with, the same week that Hannah came, was the same week at burst pipe, so I've been juggling two financial burdens here now, so, you know, that's kind of.
Never rains when it pours.
It's best abatement for them, and it's been costly.
Yeah, they
This
did the
water-
work
this
in the
water line.
basement too, so.
So can we restate what the goals are in like one succinct sentence to help Hannah?
Don't let Mike do it.
Go ahead.
So you're gonna uncover the gravel, the extent of the gravel, to let Hannah come out and see that, right?
At least a portion of it, not all of it.
Yeah, just like in a section, and you'll let her know when that's done? And, okay,
We'll find the limits generally, so.
and she'll come out and see and verify. And then you will come back on the April 9th meeting, assuming that works for you, and let us know if you have any updates regarding phasing or having it done all at once.
Well, is that something you guys feel like you need from them, or?
Well, I
would you
wasn't
be
sure,
comfortable with
at
the
the
plan that
beginning of
they
this
have
meet,
and
at the
then me
beginning
just
of this
monitoring?
presentation, I wasn't sure that the restoration plan that we had discussed at the last meeting, which we were looking to sign off on, was going to be in fact what's gonna happen, because there were so many questions, you know, can we afford to do it? This is from you gentlemen tonight. And so, I'm not sure that, you know, how that was left, because there still sounds like there's some big questions, and the restoration plan could come back and need to be modified if their costs were prohibitively expensive or something changed. I don't wanna force you into a corner of saying you have to do what you said you were gonna do tonight because something changed.
Yeah, no, we wanna cooperate,
No.
that's that, yeah, and these issues just, like I said, I've been juggling a couple of things, so the questions that didn't come to mind last time came to mind today. I feel that I've had them answered, and thank you to Don to be able to get that other parking situation, you know, that obviously makes us feel better, much better there. So in terms of the restoration plan we have, I just want to be sure of cost. That's what it's looking at.
And it seemed like the original driver for that cost was hand versus
By hand
being able to
versus
utilize a machine. So that seemed like that, yeah, the labor was the biggest impact, right? But other than that, the structure of what we're seeing here is essentially the same.
So if the commission members don't
you-
feel that they need to modify, or not modify, but specify the methodology, meaning
Right.
machine versus hand, how much proportionally, and scraping the last little bit by, if you don't feel that's needed to be put into anything, then the restoration plan, probably as it was established last time and has been revisited again this time, was gonna be what stands, and I think Hannah has enough documentation about that restoration plan that she's already,
Right.
Okay, so
Put in
what's
the portal.
happening April 9th? Nothing?
well, that's just, sounds like we may not need to have anything if nothing else changes, if the commission wants to make a decision about the enforcement order, because we currently still have.
It sounded
enforcement
like,
order.
and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounded like the landscaping side of things was still up in the air, like the cost for plantings, cost for seed mix.
And the phasing versus all at once?
Right.
That's
So
what we're
we don't
waiting
have
for,
anything
so
still
nailed
waiting.
down.
it's,
We have a few numbers, but there's
Okay.
not.
Yeah, we don't have enough nailed down to
Okay.
close it up tonight, in my
I
opinion.
think-
The two things that we're waiting on is the landscaping and really the gravel, whether or not we have to restore over that gravel. And I don't know the timing of that because, like you said, if we expose the chips and then wait and see, now that slope is exposed. So
We're gonna just do a small portion
Okay, a
of
small
it. We're
portion.
gonna do a small portion.
Just to
at the
see.
end of come
Oh,
out.
okay.
And I don't think, in my personal opinion, I don't think we're gonna have you restore the gravel. There might be, depending on how wide it is, we might have you push it back a little bit,
Okay,
but it was a pre-existing condition, so.
fair enough.
It sounds, in my opinion, until they have completed costs, they don't know if they can do it in a single act or a phased act.
Right.
So by the 9th, they should have those answers and they can present their conclusion to us at that time.
Will you have those answers by the ninth?
Yeah.
So that's what's happening on the ninth then.
So.
That's it.
That's what's happening on the
Do we need to
ninth.
continue?
If not, we-
Because this is a hearing, discussion, it says discussion rather than a hearing.
No, we just,
So-
Hannah will just put it on the schedule.
Okay. So we'll have it on the schedule, it's not a hearing item per se, because this is still in a discussion mode with environment, so that saves filing notices of intent and things that you don't want to do, so at this point in time. So I think the intent of the commission, unless I'm hearing otherwise, speak up if you are, think it's different, that we'll meet again on the 9th to discuss with you gentlemen, to discuss where you're at with the restoration plan. If things look good, you've got everything locked in, pretty much know how you want to proceed, you can review that with us briefly. We've been through most of it before, so it'll be just the highlights or changes. And then we can decide if that sounds good to us, we can give you the thumbs up and go ahead. And at that point in time, we would then potentially entertain a motion after the fact, correct?
Well, we could just
The
amend
enforcement.
the order to say that, you know, we approved the
The plan.
plan, and then go from there. And then they're just approved to do the
Right,
restoration plan.
and then, but eventually with the enforcement order, how would we take that off?
Well, because if it needs to get monitored for
Right,
however
right.
long, but at the end of the monitoring period, we just send them a letter.
Right. So that would be the end of the enforcement order portion. I want to make sure I covered that portion, at least tonight briefly with you. Okay, does there, yes, sorry,
I just want to add, if you guys find out before April 9th that you have like one option, you're going with that, just make sure that your plan reflects that and that you send it to us as soon as possible.
it's always nice to know what it is on a piece of paper that matches what you planned.
Mr. Chair, do
Yes,
you
good.
want to solicit any other comments from the audience?
Yes, I'll ask if there's anyone else out in the audience that would like to make a comment. We'll just stick down, I want to make sure. So are you either here for that? I want to make sure you have an opportunity to speak if you like. No? Okay. Thanks. Don?
I just wanted to thank the board for showing mercy, a little bit of mercy for these guys. You know it wasn't intentional. And in working with them and even offering a phased approach. If a phased approach works for them, I think it's smart, because then they can budget for their phased approach. And the allowance of allowing a machine to go in and remove the mulch without disturbance is also a really nice compromise. I just want to thank the board very much for working with them.
Well, thanks for coming up with the parking option, Don, too, because that's not an area I strayed my eyes that far afield, but it's a good option. Yes, sir.
Ken Hamway, 30
Hey, Ken.
Weathersfield Road. I just wanted to say I thank the board for looking at this issue with some leniency, but when your head hits the pillow tonight, don't ever forget what this pastor, what this deacon, and what this pastor does when November rolls around. They go out and the churches raise money for children that are not expecting a Christmas present. This pastor to my left, he raises money since he was a correction officer in his background. That his church raises money for children whose parents are incarcerated and they're not gonna get a Christmas present. So our church, First Baptist, works diligently on that. And Pastor Carrier, I did a story, I worked for the Bellingham Bulletin last December, what his church was doing for Christmas. And on 2 occasions, parents and their children come to his church and pick up presents that the kids normally wouldn't have. So consider that when your head hits the pillow tonight.
Thanks, you Ken. Yes, sir.
Baron Rogers, 1172 South Main Street, pastor of First Baptist Church of Bellingham. What you might not know is Pastor Mike and myself, we attend a small church that has no other outside money coming in, nonprofit, and he won't tell you, but by all the offers that come in, we just barely make it. And then when you're throwing it at something like this that you had no idea that you was doing, when you're told how much money it's gonna cost to do it by hand, that's a daunting task for a small congregation with an average congregation age of like 65 and up. So he might not tell you this, but this was a huge thing to face, especially when you just had a whole renovation done, to lose it all with a pipe breaking over this winter. So this is just added onto him. So I just, as a citizen, and even being close, because I'm also a pastor like him, I just want to thank the board for just the amount of mercy you just showed this little church. And I just thank you all for that.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, all of you. Appreciate both your efforts in the community as well as for the citizens in the town and residents. And we're happy, I think, as the commission members, to be able to work with people. We don't try to lay down the law. We do have to follow the law and we follow the science, but wherever we can work with people, whether it's taking a tree down that's about to fall on somebody's house, or quickly and efficiently and helping them out, or in a situation like this, we're happy to do so. So, any other commission members have any other comments? So it's good that we're able to move forward with this, and I'm looking forward to a rapid and, well, as reasonably paced as possible progress and a successful conclusion for everybody. So thank you all, gentlemen.
Thank
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you,
See
guys.
you on the 9th. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. Okay. We have,
Moving on.
moving on, we have a few other items under other business.
We do, we have 5 items.
Yes, we do. And I don't know how many of you had an opportunity to see all of that information that Hannah provided for us.
We get through as much as we get through.
Well, we get through what we can, and this is a good opportunity
Do we
with a
wanna-
short meeting
Ask them
tonight
what
to
they-
be able
Yeah.
to
Extend it further.
extend it as long as we
We'll see what the,
Yes, ma'am, sir, are you here for something in particular? Because we'd like to make sure we address that before we get on to other business that you may not want to sit around for. So come right
we
up,
dropped something too, it looks like a license.
yeah. Feel free, come right up to the table there and speak. There's a microphone on the table if you'd like to speak towards that, that'd be great. Just identify yourselves and what you'd like, what you're here for tonight.
My name is Nelly.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you speak, could you speak up a little bit?
My name is Nelly Del Cruz,
Okay,
and I went to the building.
We went to the store, the Stop and Shop on Bellingham.
okay.
They gave us a parking ticket.
Okay, so you got a parking ticket up at the Stop and Shop
Yes.
in Bellingham, the south end of town?
No,
There's a Market
Market
Basket,
Basket?
Market Basket parking lot? Because there's no Stop and Shop in north end of town. There's Market Basket grocery store?
yes, I think it's north.
Okay, so that's probably a police department thing. Are you saying you shouldn't have gotten the ticket, or you have a question about it?
Yeah, because I only went over there for a couple of minutes because I coming from another place.
Okay.
And I need to.
Yeah, the problem is, we don't do anything with parking tickets. We're with the Environmental Conservation Commission. So the meeting tonight is about conservation things, but if this, is it for
They said
Market
that
Basket?
over here. I don't
There's,
know why.
there's probably a phone number, isn't there?
It says to pay the town of Bellingham.
Okay, so if you want to pay the parking ticket,
I don't have money.
okay. Well, what you'll need to do is come back during business hours, when they're open here, to the town hall. And if you go to the clerk's office, Ariane, could you show them where the counter is there? She'll show you where the counter is you'll want to go to when you come in,
I think
when
we
they're
should
open.
grab Don Martinez in the lobby.
Oh, yeah, if Don's available.
Did he fix parking tickets?
Good point.
It sounds like he's the parking fixer.
Ariane, if Don's out there, you can grab him.
I feel bad they sat here for an
I
hour.
know.
I know, no.
I thought with the hat they were here for the
They
church
probably
thing.
just got a ticket and figured they'd come to the town hall to,
That was intended to give away.
Yeah.
good luck.
Good luck.
Have a good night.
Right. you catch Don? He'll be sorry he hung out in the lobby.
Set him right up.
There you go.
So it
Okay.
happens
Good,
when we're on
good,
the
good.
select
Good,
board.
no, that's good to help them out. I'm sure
Yeah, I
they'll
feel bad.
appreciate the help.
A terrible rash.
I was speeding and I got pulled over. I'm not happy about it.
All righty. Why don't we do the minutes first?
I keep forgetting things.
I just had, two things on that, a couple typos, but. I
You're
just
gonna go
highlighted
right,
typos, you know.
you're gonna go right to the last thing?
Because
You're gonna go right to
Ariana's not
number
here
five?
and the minutes aren't.
That's the quick thing.
It's a quick one. A question for gentlemen and/or ladies. Under other business for the minutes for last meeting, it says Bellingham Dam updates. So.
Damn.
Ms. Chase updated the commission that the Charles River Watershed Association is conducting its own evaluation, which is expected to be completed by the summer. Army Corps is also evaluating the site, but the process will not be completed for a year. I thought it'd be helpful to say something other than Bellingham Dam, because it's probably not referred to on any maps as the Bellingham Dam, right? Does it have another name?
A lot of dams aren't, really these smaller ones aren't
So
named.
Mike, I only highlighted to say, is there a name for it? Does anybody know? If there's not,
I
then
think
we'll
it's
just leave it.
North Bellingham Dam is like
Okay.
the only name
I
for
just-
it, but I can update that.
I mean, if
Okay.
you call it the Silver Lake Dam,
Maple Street Dam?
Yeah, I was gonna say Maple Street, because
Can do
you
that.
could throw a rock and hit it. I don't know. I
If
don't
it,
really.
if it doesn't have an official name, I don't really care particularly, except it's nice to
What does
identify.
the Charles River Watershed Association call it?
Yeah.
The North
The
Bellingham.
dam.
Yeah, I think it was the North Bellingham Dam.
Or you're on the court, 'cause
Yeah,
you're
we
on the
said
court.
off of Maple
Let's
Street.
at least be consistent.
Yeah. Okay, and other than that, I don't think, commission.
There are a
Well, nice to
couple
get
little
commission
typos.
spelled right.
Yep.
But, okay, so I don't
Oh,
have
with
any
two
other.
L's?
No, this is COMMIS, and the other S, ION. We ran out of S's, sorry.
Put
Okay.
in some L's.
So, yeah, throw in spells. Okay.
They're silent.
But we have a wetland flag, so it's a wetland, so we have an extra L there. Okay, so there were a couple typos in that one. Question about Dan. Anybody else have anything else about the minutes?
Nope.
nope.
Okay.
Motion to accept.
Second from anybody? Second, thanks, James. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Opposed? No, thank
Are
you.
we down to the last 30 minutes here?
Yeah.
Are we down? What do you mean?
I gotta,
Oh, I'd go 45.
Are you
Just
take-
because you can go 45 doesn't.
No, I'm looking at the list.
Oh, the minutes.
We just approved minutes because there was a
Well, the first
typo
one.
and a question about the Bellingham Dam being called something else, but probably is.
Oh,
Okay,
jump to the
84.
second one. We're gonna be
What?
talking about snow removal and
80
salt.
85 Hartford Avenue.
Second one's us.
Enforcement.
Huh?
Second one's an Eversource project.
Have people talked, 85 Hartford Avenue enforcement?
I got intrigued by that.
So that's just something I can give like a short update on, just so you're aware this is gonna be something coming down the pipeline for enforcement. I haven't written anything up quite yet, because I'm still talking to like DEP about exactly kind of how to go about that, and we're taking a second site visit on Friday. But there's
Who's
just.
we?
Are they being receptive to site? to
Who's
site
we?
walks?
Well, because originally it was flagged by Fire Department, Board of Health, and then we got brought in as well, and they brought in DEP. And DEP also has the air and hazardous waste, they have jurisdiction over that too,
Where's
so.
the NICD's permit?
Are they, I don't wanna get ahead of you, but
No,
are they,
no, no.
are they in violation of the previous order that we wrote
Yes.
10, 12 years ago?
The pictures.
Think we
on the-
permitted a junkyard?
We did.
So
Yeah,
the
there's
previous
ongoing conditions.
continuing conditions that were approved for that was essentially like, you can't have leaking fluid vehicles
Right, and they had to
stored
keep
in
a certain,
there.
they had to keep everything a
And
certain
not
distance
throw
away from the
Other side of the
fence.
fence.
and-
Not throw tons of rims over the fence into the wetland side of
Why
it, which
don't
they've
we
done.
just-
They're strewed up and down. The pictures of the portal show.
Why don't we just
It's
do
not even just leaking
unique, get a
fluids.
NICD's permit?
Vehicles with fluids in general
Right.
cannot be within 100 feet of the well.
Exactly,
And
so
if they had
there's a
gotten
couple
that, they would've
pictures
had
in
to do all
there
that and more.
of the oil that's.
There's like waste oil in a bin.
And there's,
sitting.
exactly,
This is one
so
of the
there's,
oldest
there's
CDs.
I'm
a
just saying, back in
significant
2013,
amount of
we
stuff
that
that
we
needs
last
to be
reviewed the site, 'cause I
cleaned
remember.
up over there.
So the big barrel that it shows of potentially leaking fluid of some sort of
Yes.
nastiness that's leaking right next, or leaning right next to a fence, that obviously would have to be addressed as potential leaking. Do they actually have a car crushing machine on site? Because it does specify
Yep,
that.
they
Is
do.
that big red thing?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't look like necessarily it's sitting on a pad it looked like it was sitting on dirt, which it specifies
It's a-
in
it's
the
a
original order
concrete
that it
pad.
had to be, all crushing had to be done on the concrete pad.
It is on the pad, but the pad is in rough shape.
Yeah,
Ooh, I want
okay,
that
mostly
Jeep.
dirt, I think. But okay, all right, so there's a lot of things that need to be done to that area, and it sounds
Are
like a
they
lot of
being,
people are working
are
on
they
it.
being cooperative or?
Yeah, I think because there are so many people involved, it's kind of just like they gotta start
They have
working
no
on
choice.
something. And there is some stormwater stuff that they used to have somebody doing, like stormwater compliance for them, but
They kept
now we
failing.
haven't seen, well, it was doing okay before and they had started to get stuff into compliance, because they had somebody working on it. But that was like, I don't know, probably
That must have
around the
been like
time
25
that
years
this
ago.
permit got.
What was the year on
confirmed,
the
so.
original one? Do you remember? I don't have it in front of me. 2013, 20?
Yeah, I think it was,
Gotta
I
be
think
10,
it's
15,
2013.
10,
I
12
remember
years,
going
10,
on that
12
site.
years
I
ago.
remember going on the site, so it was
Yeah,
one of the
yeah.
earlier ones that I walked
February
on.
2013.
Yep.
2013, okay, so,
Yeah.
so yeah,
12
so
years.
basically 12 years ago. And I know during that 12 years, between 12
14
years
years
ago
old.
and now, at one point in time, the site was almost completely emptied of all cars, because I drove by there, I was like, whoa, where'd all the cars go? New ownership, I heard, or something like that. Then, of course, they had that terrible fatality there where somebody got killed on site.
Wait, what?
One of the guys that works there was
There's
changing tires and the rim popped off and killed him.
Oh,
So, or not changing tires, but doing something with the, and they got called on for the OSHA and stuff like that. I think it was made the news.
I think the rims are organized very neatly.
Yeah, there you go.
So those are actually, most of those are actually getting, because you know, there's a
got a
lot
collection of
extra stuff that needs to happen, obviously, but I was like, this is one early, easy thing that you can work on to just start doing, so
Right.
that started already, but the
they need-
leaking and
they need
the
a new fence
vehicles.
desperately.
Yeah.
I need a BMW rim.
How is this brought to our
I
attention?
saw a nice Jeep.
By fire and
Okay,
Board of Health.
that- yep,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
good.
every time I
Yep.
go on site, I'm
Super
with
fun site
people
at
from
this
fire
point.
Yep.
and Board of
Alright,
Health. I'm
good.
not going out there
It's
by
a super
myself.
fun site at this point.
Yeah.
Once again.
I think it might actually
Okay.
be.
If
So
there
that was
wasn't
just
any
kind of an
money, it's
update.
super
All right,
That's
so
coming down the
that's an
line.
update on that one. We don't need to pursue that anymore right
That
now.
is a super
Okay.
fun site.
All right, that went quicker than I thought.
Okay.
All right,
Looks like-
utility maintenance?
Oh, it is one?
Yep.
All right. So, in utility maintenance, we have received some information from, well, the way we left it was that people weren't particularly happy with the areas of the road, of the
Oh, that's,
road.
are we
Oh,
talking
you're
about
doing the utility, you're
MBTA?
doing the, no, go ahead, you do the one, the other one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, utility maintenance notification for Riverbrook Road. So that's just something, if you see it happening, it's just utility maintenance. So they got somebody to flag out all the wetlands, they've got all the appropriate erosion controls, it's just a maintenance
And
notification.
it's in the road bed, and it's just sticking in the new,
Yeah.
what are they
It's
called?
one of my coworkers' projects, so if you see a problem, text me, I will call them and get it fixed.
Yeah. I'd be shocked if you didn't. Okay,
Transmission.
No, it's a gas project.
but
They're
they're sticking
putting
these
in
bars in
anodes.
that do something
So
with
they're
corrosion,
corroded.
stop corrosion or whatever. They're sticking in new probes or whatever in the ground,
It's-
right?
I can't stress how important that is. It keeps us from having an issue like we had in the Merrimack Valley where a bunch of
Right.
homes blew up.
Yeah.
So, very important.
No, no, I'm not saying it's
Was
not
it like
important.
magnesium or something? It's-
Yeah, big magnesium rods.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, cool.
And then they put a current through it,
Yep.
sacrificial electrons.
It's like what's in like your water heater.
Yeah, helps prevent it.
Yeah.
There's one down off the rail trail down off Fox, the end of Fox Run that they put in.
Oh,
Shit. 15 or more years ago now.
Yeah. When it's done, you shouldn't know it's there. It's all under the street.
yeah, because it's all under the ground.
Yeah,
How-
there's,
how often
there's a box above ground from
Do
on
the
it.
electrodes.
Oh, all
How long do
right,
they
so I know
last?
the box you're talking about. That's what's underneath that, electrodes.
Yeah.
Maybe longer if they're bigger, I'm not sure.
Shocked to know it's underground sometimes.
The
Yeah,
airport, the
Yeah.
fuel lines.
Okay.
interesting.
Anything else on that one you all want to know, need to know?
And if you notice, if you look at the plans, those wetlands are delineated.
Delineated.
Crazy?
I wonder who had something to do with that.
I wonder how accurate the delineation is.
Crazy that when we do
appreciate
maintenance work,
that.
we delineate the wetlands. Wow.
Okay. The other one?
I'm not bitter, huh?
Yeah, not much.
Well, I think we can kind of save that. I mean, I updated
have
you
a
guys
source
of
money
the
back,
information that was provided, but I don't think we need to discuss
So
that.
there's more information that's been provided for the railroad stuff. We're still working on that and,
Getting in contact with DEP and everything.
right. So we'll see how that progresses as we move forward and whether, Pam and who else was working on that?
Ariane.
Ariane, yeah.
But the
Pam,
flamethrower
Ariane,
option is off the table?
Okay.
Oh, what was I working on? I forgot.
The railroad,
The
Yeah.
MBTA.
Are we gonna do a site visit on the MBTA?
Well, I don't think we should talk about it right now.
What?
It's a public hearing, so we
Yeah.
can't, yeah.
Well, there's no
they're not
representative
on
here.
this
you mean.
week. Right. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know that we're gonna do a sidewalk in answer to your general question, which is perfectly appropriate, whether or not we will need to go tour along the rail line, but at some point in time, if we do, we certainly have to make arrangements, because you gotta be escorted and all that stuff. So, we'll see about
Or
that.
you can just
Well, don't trespass.
go on
Okay.
Saturday.
Yeah. Well, we will be talking about potential sidewalk for, that coming up shortly. Hannah?
Yeah, I didn't know if we wanted to figure out a site walk for Blackstone Street, because we had talked about that last meeting. And I was just updated today that those 2 lots are flagged, so if you guys want to
As well as the
schedule.
corner house, corner of the houses.
Are these these are the A&R lots?
Yep, yeah. So if we
The NR
wanna
lots
schedule
right off of
a
Matty
site
Way and Blackstone Street end, the end of Blackstone Street there, that Lou Petrosi's project, potential project. And we also may want to add on, just for people to have seen it, a new thing that Hannah just was dealing with along North Street there, 175?
Oh, yeah, 175, that lot A that got permitted, that house that's kind of on the peninsula. I went out there to do like an erosion control check, and all the erosion controls looked good, but they had cut
But-
a number of trees outside of the LOD. And he had just kind of said, oh, it was for safety reasons. The guy that was out here was cutting stuff, and they were worried about stuff falling, and I was like, okay, well, that's something you have to talk to us before you do, so I wasn't sure.
Was this the property owner that said that?
Yeah.
So once
Yeah.
again, ask for forgiveness.
But here's the
address is
thing,
that?
they haven't finished, apparently, there's still a few trees left that they'd like to deal with potentially. So if there's a sidewalk scheduled and we're a quarter of a mile away or less, and we want to shoot down and take a quick look at what those things might be, I would like to make sure that somebody from the applicant or the guy that's been told to go ahead and cut the trees down points out exactly what other things they think they want to do outside of limited disturbance, and we can say, no, you need to come back, or whatever. we
What's
need to do.
stopping them from just cutting them, waiting for that? Did you say no activity?
Oh, yeah, I said you have to wait, like, if you want to do anything else.
Right.
The stuff you already did,
There's
that was,
nothing-
you have to talk to us before
There's
you do
nothing there
that.
in writing. Because
Right.
currently they have
Well, they have an order of conditions
They have an
that
active
doesn't.
order.
Right, but we could give them an enforcement order for going outside of
Yeah,
the
I guess
existing.
after,
Which side
after
is
the
this
fact.
here?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
175.
175 North Street?
It's,
It's like that
That
pork
kinda-
chop lot
Yeah,
with the single family home in the long driveway.
there was the vernal pool.
We could always put a stop work on it.
Good. So I haven't kind of run into this issue yet where it's kind of like they cut something down that can't just immediately be
usually it's been
resolved,
done, damage
so-
is done. Now they still want to do potentially a little bit more. So my point to Hannah today was, when she mentioned this, was if we're going to be doing a site walk, I would want to make sure that we, commission members that want to, are available to, take a look at that, but also that they have a representative there and that they are told to have somebody show up to show us what it is they think we want to do. So we can make an on-site, not determination, because we don't vote on that or anything like that, but observation to come back to the next meeting and say, we definitely, or to tell Hannah, to instruct them, don't do anything, come to us for a notice of intent or an RDA or something, you gotta come to us.
Yeah.
As opposed to, oh, no, it's just, a couple branches and they're already almost in the water, or, whatever. I have no idea what the scope is, but since it's that close, potentially that soon, that could be happening, I thought I'd,
Did you take pictures while you were out there?
I took one or two. They're not very good, but
a lot of branches, a lot of trees, it looks like woods.
Right.
Okay,
and they
So
didn't
where
like
did they cut?
disturb.
Where did they,
And what like were
Like,
they
is
big
it-
pines or?
They were pretty big DBH trees, like this big, which was why I was like, that's very unfortunate, because I mean,
Usually-
even if we did let you cut, we would rather it be like,
And
you know,
usually
left as a
those
snag.
those type of
like-
mature trees that don't immediately look dead aren't danger trees.
Right.
They're just
so
inconvenience
There are
trees.
some trees that, I mean, I'm not an arborist, but there are a couple pretty big trees that do look dead.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if that was the case. I couldn't really.
this time of
Has
the
a
year
cranberry
though, it's
bog on
hard
the
to,
property.
Right.
if the bark's on it, it's hard
Exactly.
to
I
judge.
mean, this is like a common thing that they do, like, it's probably like the 4th site in the past year.
So
where
I
they've been
wasn't
like,
sure
"Oop,
what your
Right.
operating procedure
Jim
was
Jones.
for something like that, where it can't just be rectified, like
Three.
Right.
moving the erosion control. Like, do they need to replant something? Like, do you do a stop
Yeah,
work
that's a
court, like that kind of
248
thing.
inch pine.
Is it, it's still,
Essentially, so that was, I wasn't
Which
sure how
ties
you
into
wanted
the
to
tree
handle it.
removal policy, which Hannah has drafted up here. which you all
Mike's trying to
definitely-
move us along.
Yeah, just a little bit. So anyway, first question. Are people willing, able, want to do a site walk this weekend, next weekend, sometime in the very near future for those two lots on Blackstone Street to see them since they've been flagged as we requested?
Yep.
And we can combine that with
Happy
this
to.
other one.
Yep,
What's the availability for this Saturday at 8:30?
I'm
I can
fine
do
this
it.
Saturday, yeah.
I can do this Saturday.
Okay. So that sounds like a pretty good sized group. Why don't we plan a meeting right at the end of Blackstone Street and we see if we can
I
get.
can't come, but I can try to.
You've been there a couple
I
times,
have
so
been there
I
a
don't think
couple
that's a
times.
problem with us. If you could just see about coordinating with Lou slash
The property owner.
Paul or somebody from Ecotech to be there for questions that we might have about that. And then
Maybe
the
not Lou.
175 North Street for the property owner. So I'd say 8:30 and 9. I don't
He's
think
gonna
we need
be
more than
there.
half an hour to walk those two sites. They're so close together, they're right next to the road. You guys think half an hour for the first site, maybe shoot up the street? Because the two properties are side by side on Blackstone Street there, and they're right at the edge of the road. We don't have to wander
I
around
mean,
very far.
both of those lots were, I'm not as concerned with those two projects. I think it's gonna be a quick review for us. We just wanna see it in person.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So it's tentatively 8:30 for Blackstone Street, and then maybe 9 o'clock.
Scoot up
Tentatively,
to-
we can shoot up to 175, and then be done by 9:30 at the latest, I think.
Yeah.
Cool.
That sounds good?
And
Okay.
shoot up to 175 what?
North Street.
North Street.
Just shooting up the street a little bit towards Mendon.
To look at the violation.
Yeah, well, yeah, potential,
Well,
whatever it is.
I remember,
Make an observation, yes, okay. All
we
right,
were all there that day, well,
Yeah.
except
a lot of us. A lot of us.
sick man.
Sick man. Okay,
You're not gonna forget that, are you?
let him go, come on, let him go. Okay, all right, how you do the vacation.
I like
Conditions
Volume
overview?
conditions overview. Okay, so we had general conditions, I'm sorry, special conditions and general order conditions that Hannah has done a lot of work on, pulling together there, 85.
It's still like kind of an ongoing document,
Right.
but I just wanted to give you an idea of what I was kind of pulling from for a lot of the
Yeah.
conditions.
So, since this is. this is-
Your new boilerplate?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is something we probably, I'll say special conditions versus the general conditions. So I think that while we have a lot of material here that could be reviewed in depth, if you all have not had a chance to read through them, I glanced through them as pointing out things like, just no disturb, a proposed fence is to be constructed blank. Well, a proposed rail fence in a no disturb area is okay, but they also talk about vertical posts that we sometimes do instead of no disturb fences, so maybe we should discuss whether we want fences or posts or how we phrase that, things like that. To get into some of the details of these conditions, the question is, how much do you want to spend time doing now, schedule for another time? Do you need more time to look them over?
More time.
Okay. All right.
Digest.
So what I would ask that you do is, I will ask Hannah to, I've highlighted a few points that, just for observation, like bigger projects is highlighted in blue by me as one of the number 22 under general conditions, is the first thing. I don't know what bigger projects means. I think we should define it somewhere in an appendix or whatever.
Yeah, that was kind of just
And
a
it's
note
just-
from me,
yeah,
but just for
exactly.
things for you to, like, if you're
Right.
looking through and you're like, okay, like, what do we want to include on here? Like, this is like something that we might want to include if it's a larger project. Like,
Do we have like a way to do, not necessarily, I guess a OneDrive would work, but a way that we can have a live document and everyone can comment, and instead of us sending copies of copies to you and you having to compile it.
The
if
only
we-
problem with that is unless we do it in an open meeting, we may be in violation because you can't actively work on documents and stuff like that.
Sure
My
you can.
understand-
No, you
You
absolutely
can't
can.
exchange opinions, you can say.
Sure,
a
you do,
fact-
absolutely you can.
Well, then you gotta
But
talk
we-
to town council about it.
Really?
'cause
They said no?
You have, my understanding is you can't discuss, you can exchange information, you can exchange all the facts you want. You can say, this is typed wrong, you can say factual stuff, but you can't say, I think that we should have this in here.
I think that's
we should have
hearing
that in."
specific though. I don't think that is for
We
our
would approve it
policies.
at an open
I would just say,
If you-
like, when
I
you
think
do
the-
that, nothing gets done.
I think the workaround for it is very simple. You just form a subgroup and just say, the three of us are, not a quorum, are gonna go through this document, come up with all the recommendations. Everybody send us anything you wanna send us. We'll pull it all together and we'll come back to you. And then in a meeting, we just say, this is everything that's been reviewed by these three people. Does everybody agree with it? You've all had a chance to have input. And
mean,
then we move it right along
There's
now and
this
get it approved. I think that's
program in
safer.
Word.
What's that?
There's a program in Word, which the first time I tried it and the only time I tried it, it didn't work. And like, maybe it'll work for someone who knows how to use it, but you can combine documents with edits together. So we
You
just,
mean like take separate copies of them?
and merge them together.
Right.
So
Well,
if we all just did our edits and track changes.
I can ask town council about it.
yeah, I mean, whatever way logistically works, has Hannah as the one coordinating, pulling this thing physically together, this document, that's fine. I don't suspect that there's going to be a lot in reading through these special conditions today and general conditions. The way the wording is and so forth, it's not like everybody's going to suddenly modify all the words. They're a lot of boilerplate stuff.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how do we want to describe a bigger project, for example, or a smaller project, or a, I don't know, no disturb area if we have
I saw a
a,
good boilerplate.
Yeah.
Other
and-
things.
And my comment
Order
really is
conditions that
more
was like,
general. It's not specific to
This order of conditions does
boilerplate
not
conditions.
include the
But we've had a few
applicant
times now where we've,
other
all of us had
necessary
asked for
permits,
Wait a
comments.
second,
state or
Ariane,
federal
excuse me,
permits.
Ariane.
We've had
I want to make sure you hear this.
We've had a few times where we've had both Hannahs ask for comments on documentation that wasn't exact, it wasn't project specific. It's more internal. And I feel like to make it easier on Hannah, instead of having 7 copies of the same thing with edits, if it's legal and possible for us to do so, we should.
I'm all for it. I just don't want to waste our time and effort or get us in trouble by doing something that could be avoided or should be avoided. But
Yeah.
if it's doable, let's do it.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm all for
I think we
efficiency in it.
confirm it
That's fine.
first, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we can
I'll
do that.
talk.
So I ask that you all, in absence of doing any of this tonight, take some time and look through those special conditions, general conditions, and see what they're. One thing that's always bugged me, and I mentioned this before several years ago, and I was told, oh, it's just the way it is. General conditions will start with number 20. I think that looks funky, to say the least. There are 19 other conditions somewhere out there. We should either attach them all the time in the front, I think, to the general conditions and have 1 through 19, even though they never change, or, because that's what I was told, oh, there's these other conditions, but they're always just there. And I'm like, but they're
continue.
not there. They're not in this document. And so if the public sees this, and I'm trying to view it from that point of view, I'd be saying, why does it start with number 20? Where are the other, what am I seeing? They don't know that.
I think that's part of the reason that they do this, is because the other condition, because sometimes I think applicants just kind of skip through all the general conditions that are listed in their order of conditions, but if they stop and see, oh, 20, it starts at 20, maybe there's some other conditions I should be looking at.
Right, but I don't think that we should make anybody go look for those conditions. I think they should be there. Whether they look at them or not, I
They
can't
are
tell.
They're
No,
in
it
the.
starts with number 20. There's no
Well, that's
1 through 19.
Part of the order of conditions, which has the other 19 on it.
But they're not in what we're providing.
Well,
That's
they
what I'm
are.
saying.
No.
I haven't seen them.
1 through 19 are on the WPA form.
Right. So I think that they should be carried over
Why
or
don't we
change the,
just
or
put, like, continue?
change the number, or
That's it.
something, continue, some reference to the fact that
Continued after the general conditions.
which are found in the WPA form. That's fine. Referencing where the other 19 are is fine too. You don't have to list them all, but the fact that it just starts off with the 20 has always struck me as, from a potential resident who's trying to fill out stuff and figure out what's going on with this, which we do get these people come in who don't have wetland scientists and trying to do it, as much help as possible and make it as not unclear as possible. Okay, all right, enough said on that. Yes, good. Sure. Are you just happy to sit here? We're happy to have you here, but
I'm waiting for this to officially end so I can personally thank you all.
well, not wanting to extend your time here beyond on an evening, you perhaps have other things to do. We will be wrapping up very shortly, I think, though. So just give us a moment more. Thank you. The tree removal form, please look that over too. I think it's good.
Is this from scratch?
No, oh no, MACC has a lot of I've been digging through all their documents, and there's some towns that have a lot, and so I'll go on their websites periodically, kind of see what they're doing, and I think this one was taken, I listed a couple.
Yeah, there are a
sites
couple
that
of
I
towns
did.
that
I
you
saw
cut,
Lincoln
you
in
cut and
there.
pasted for a couple of towns, which is
Yeah.
good. I think it was great to reutilize the things. I did like the part where it says identifies a hazard tree. a tree which is dead or dying and has a structural defect that may cause the tree or a portion of the tree to fall on, and this is the word I love, a target, such as people, permanent or temporary structures or usable surfaces. It's like, okay, I've got a big red target on my.
Like the tree's aiming.
So maybe when I pick picture, I highlight that because maybe we want to pick a different word. But anyway,
Yeah.
so this is good. So review that and see if you have any comments or questions on that.
I've given you mine.
And input, and provide that to Hannah if you would. Okay, Hannah, what else?
The only other thing I
restoration.
think was, I have the two
Yes,
orders of
that's right,
conditions.
signing
I don't
those.
know if people got a chance to look those over,
I
if you feel
did.
comfortable signing stuff,
But-
for 621 Rentham and 340 Hartford Ave.
Send them.
So,
Send them around.
Send them around, all right. I will flip to the signature page.
Okay, and while we are doing that, I think we can sign and make a motion to close and adjourn the meeting, unless somebody else has anything else to bring up for the meeting. No, okay.
Need a pen?
I will accept a motion to close and adjourn the meeting.
So move.
Ariane, second anybody?
Second.
Okay, Steve, I'll let you take that one. All in favor of closing the meeting and adjourning after signing these documents?
Aye.
Against? Okay, thank you. We're officially done, sir, so you can come right up and say whatever you'd like. Thank you very much, and we'll leave the cameras running for a moment,
I
but
can, yeah,
that's okay.
that takes me a quick second.
I
We're
just
still
wanna-
recording at the moment, just so you know.
Turn off cable, wait, it's okay. You're on
So
cable,
you
that's
know.
fine. You just wave hi to the family. That's fine. I'm sure that the attendance online is, or on TV watching is not huge.
Yeah. No, I just want to personally thank each and every one of you. Just a blessing.
Thank you.
You know, you probably don't. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for all the work you do,
No.
sir. Appreciate it.
And again, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You know, again.
Happy to be able to make it work when it can, that's
you
for
know,
sure.
And that's what it's all about. You know, public servants helping out, and we know we want to conserve and protect. And it was just so nice to see that you all worked.
One of the things that doesn't get said a lot, that this is our drinking water,
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
so.